today we are making history or being part of it where you are presiding over this house. Part of history is this, that the same day we are discussing the budget and also the same day we are discussing the finance bill. So at times I was really wondering, and I was asking my friend Anubhav Mahanti whether are we discussing now at around 9 o'clock finance bill or the budget, interim budget. But subsequently I was told that it is the finance bill that is being discussed. And I will restrict myself relating to direct tax and indirect tax, which was part of the budget speech of Honorable Finance Minister. The amount of money that is spent, I would say, just a moment, sir. Just 1 minute. Coming to the specifics, I may say that the government is estimated to spend 47,65,768 crores in 24-25, which is 6% higher than the revised estimate of 23-24. Interest payment accounts for 25% of the total expenditure. And this demonstrates how much money is actually spent on interest. 40%, and that is 40% of our revenue receipts. The receipts, other than borrowing in 24-25, are estimated to be 30,80,274 crores, about 12% higher than the revised estimate of 23-24. Direct and indirect tax rates remain unchanged. And this is, of course, being an interim budget, and also the finance bill is made accordingly. And because election is hardly 2 months away, there is some, as I mentioned while discussing on the budget, there is some restriction from the spirit is that we have to comply, or the government has to comply according to the Election Commission's Code of Conduct. Whereas in letters, of course, it is not reflected in this bill, but the spirit is a welcome step. Tax benefits for startups, sovereign wealth funds, and pension funds, and some IFSC units been extended to March 2025. And these are the announcements of Honorable Finance Minister during his budget speech. I would say, while going through the bill, it is very categorically mentioned, this act may be called the Finance Act 2024, and Section 2 to Section 10 shall come into force on the 1st of April 2024. That means the direct tax component is in Section 2 to Section 10, and which is I believe it is more than 90% of the finance bill that is before us for consideration relating to direct tax. And there, Finance Minister has summed it up that it is only to extend certain aspects of the benefit that was supposed to be, that is supposed to be extended up to 25 March. And Section 11 to Section 13 come into force on such date as central government may by notification in the official gazette appoint. But here I would like to just draw the attention of the government through you, sir, is relating to an old issue that I had raised, I think, when Mr. Arun Jaitley was the finance minister and we are deliberating on the budget, on the finance bill in the other house. There I had mentioned that the general perception is that agriculture income is not taxed. And I had categorically stated that it is being taxed. And I would thank the government. In this finance bill, it has been categorically now stated, which was the general impression is agriculture is not taxable, but it is being taxed. And in page 2, subsection A, the net agriculture income shall be, I'm quoting, shall be taken into account in the manner provided in clause B. That is to say, as if the net agriculture income were comprised in the total income after the first 2,50,000 rupees of the total income, but without being liable to tax. Means 2.5 lakh tax नहीं होगा, उसके बाद जो इनकम आपको एक्रू होगा, ऐड होगा, उसके ऊपर टैक्स लगेगा. और ये लग रहा है, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लग रहा है. उस समय I had made an allegation, and this was subsequently probed into, relating to 2 farmers of Bihar who were not paying income tax, though this provision was explicitly in the act. And that is the reason why the general impression, and this brings me, the general impression is agriculture is not taxed, and that's how the income tax officers who were stationed in Bihar, they were, sir, I have 2 other points to make.
Please, quickly.
And that's how subsequently CAG went into that aspect, and that's how money was recovered, case was filed, money, of course, the tax was recovered. Coming to the indirect tax aspect, it's only 3 provisions. One is amendment to section 2, I'm not going into that details, substitution of section 20, and insertion of a new section 122. But on this issue, I would like to mention, sir, GST is an issue where certain amendments are being moved now. Of course, it must have been discussed in the council, but ultimately the parliament is passing it, is considering it today. Why can't we have a better discussion on the formulation of the law that the council is recommending? Of course, in a vote on account in this finance bill, these 3 provisions which are necessary is being passed, but is going to be passed. But my only suggestion is, why can't we have a better structured discussion on the functioning of the GST mechanism? It was on midnight hour when GST was implemented. The then Finance Standing Committee had deliberated on GST for many years, and the one government also went away without considering the proposal of the GST. But here I would like to mention, sir, madam, that this needs to be looked into, and we can have a structured debate, discussion, not actually debate, a discussion on GST. Finance Minister has announced withdrawing outstanding tax demands up to 25,000 rupees in disputed cases pertaining to the financial year 2009-10 and up to 10,000 from 2010-11 to 2014-15. This move is expected to benefit about 1 crore of taxpayers and will help reduce the backlog of disputed tax significantly. This is actually is a very good step. It's a welcome step. Though देर आए दुरुस्त आए जैसे हिंदी में कहा जाता है. But here I would say the department is also being benefited because large amount of money also is being spent to consider these cases, and which has been continuing since 1962. And that is the reason why I believe the government has taken this decision. A large number of petty, non-verified, non-reconciled or disputed direct tax demands, many of them dating back as far back to 1962, which continue to remain in the books, causing anxiety to honest taxpayers and hindering refunds of subsequent years. I believe this is a welcome step, and wholeheartedly the House would support this as this provision. The direct tax system is a very subjective system, and that is very subjective in nature. An attempt was made to codify the income tax, but subsequently it became so cumbersome that the government thought that let us not do implement that, let us continue with the old income tax with certain provisions bringing in. Provisions are interpreted as per the sweet will of the income tax officers, and one provision can be interpreted in 2 ways. As we all understand, English is a very funny language. If you read one sentence giving pause, it gives a different meaning. If you read in one go, it gives a different meaning. And if you go with the punctuations, it gives another meaning. So in that respect, this act, Income Tax Act or direct tax provisions need thorough interpretation. What is happening in court of law? The Supreme Court, being the apex court, is always having एक समग्र दृष्टि, सामग्रिक दृष्टि रहता है कि कौन हाई कोर्ट किस तरह के न्याय देते हैं, और उसमें अगर कोई दुविधा आ जाता है तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट उसके ऊपर डिसीजन देता है। इनकम टैक्स केस में एक एक कमिश्नरेट एक एक डिसीजन दे देते हैं, और ट्रिब्यूनल में जैसे अभी चल रहा है, मैं निवेदन करूंगा माननीय मंत्री जी को देखने के लिए, 2016 में डिमोनेटाइजेशन हुआ, उसके बाद केस फाइल होने लगा 2018-2019 में। कोई डिसीजन इनकम टैक्स ऑफिसर के लेवल पे आया नहीं, सबने हाथ खड़ा कर दिया और कहा कि ये सीधा ऊपर जाए और वहाँ डिसीजन है, हम इसमें बिल्कुल कोई डिसीजन नहीं देंगे। Was there a unwritten instruction from the ministry? I believe that is not the instruction, but most of the officers say इसमें क्यों हम अपना डिसीजन दें और फिर हमारे पीछे कोई और लग जाए कि इन्होंने इतना रिलीफ दे दिया। तो ये सारे पेंडिंग अब है, ये बढ़ रहा है। आपने 1962 का केस तो बंद कर रहे हो इस बिल के जरिए, और उसके बाद 5,000, 25,000 या 10,000 के केस भी बंद कर रहे हो, पर ये जो केस बनी है इसके ऊपर अगर आप थोड़ा सा इंस्ट्रक्शन ना दें तो ये और भी पेंडिंग होगा और आगे बढ़कर एक बड़ा पहाड़ जैसा लगेगा हमारे ऊपर। इसी शब्द के with these words I would say it is high time that the ministry should take a cohesive view on this type of cases. Actually, the cases in income tax department is a burden not only on the income tax payee but also on the department. So in that respect, I believe the government can consider this. Relating to GST, I believe when Madam, you will be also in this house, and I believe I will also be in this house, we can discuss GST during that period. Thank you.